Welcome to Smart Cherry's Thoughts. This is Sai from India. I'm great. How are you?
Doing fine.
Thank you for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Thank you for having me.
I thought to tell about the service that you are providing to my audience.
Yeah.
So, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Timothy Hobbs. I'm the CTO of BitSwan, or LibertyAces, and we're creating a product called BitSwan. And BitSwan is an event-driven real-time data processing platform. It lets you to see and understand your data in real time and react to adverse events, but it also allows you to make your business more effective because you can make changes to the way you do business and see immediately if and how it's affecting your KPIs.
You are from?
I'm in the Czech Republic. I'm in Prague. We are in Prague, Brno, and we're growing, so we're looking to move international as well.
Awesome. So, how many people are working on this project, and when you started this, what made you to start this?
Okay, so I'm not sure exactly how many of those there are, but in my team, we have three developers working on the core product, and we have three data scientists working on the data side of things, doing data analysis for customers and working on the data analysis product.
So, what made you to do this?
So we had a customer, O2, which is a telecom company here in Europe, who wanted to develop a CEM, a customer experience management system, and they chose us to analyze their telecom network and root out problems, analyze for anomalies, and to configure routers. And we use the BitSwan platform to solve this problem by creating pumps or pipelines. So we have a data source, for example, an ACS system. That is a system that connects to a lot of different routers. And it tells us information about how those routers are functioning. And then we analyze that data and we can show it on a dashboard. But we can also create automations which react to certain events in the system. For example, going out and actually configuring a router based off of an event in the system.
So,
We also
which
have,
one?
yes?
Yeah, go on.
No, you continue.
So, this one, with this, what kind of problems that you want to solve? You are solving already the data processing thing for this company, and what
Uh,
are you want to do?
Anytime you have a complex system with a lot of data or a lot of things going on, it doesn't have to be data right now, but we can find ways to track what's going on. For example, if you're in a warehouse, we work with one warehouse company and they have the barcode readers. And so we took that as a data source, and then we can track how quickly orders are being fulfilled, where there's certain bottlenecks. And since it's real time, we can then show the manager in the warehouse how long order fulfillment is taking for each individual employee, for example. And they can then see where there's a problem and go and address it, and immediately see on their screen whether their solution is functioning or not, if things have improved.
So, what are the advantage of this?
What's the advantage of this? Well, you can use bespoke system, or you can use like box software for certain industries, like logistics. But if you want to add a new statistic, or if you want to see your data in a new way, it's going to be pretty much impossible. Whereas our system is very extensible, and we have the in-house data analysis team that can help you create new pipelines to see new things in your data. We also have a machine learning system that does anomaly detection, and it's already been tested and it's relatively robust. So if there's something that you don't want to monitor all the time, you don't want to be sitting there watching the screen all day, but you want to know when there's a problem or if something interesting is happening, then we can send you an email when there's an anomaly situation going on.
So this works for any business.
Any business that has things that are happening relatively frequently, yeah.
So for which business this is more useful?
Currently, we are working in the telecom space and in logistics and fulfillment space. And we also did a pilot project with a media house to just show how diverse the customers that we have. We've been in 3 different sectors already, where we were tracking the conversion rate on articles, like how many people were clicking on a link to an article, and showing them a predicted number of views and anomalies, like that an article was doing very well and then it fell flat. Maybe that's actually a problem with the way that it's shared on Facebook, for example, and they can go fix it because otherwise the article would be very successful. And so you want to know about that immediately if there's a problem.
So data analysis and data observation is not that easy thing. So how you made this happen?
So we are using the existing ecosystem of Kafka, which is developed by the Apache Foundation and used across industry in lots of Fortune 500s. So we can plug into anyone who already has data coming into Kafka, and we can then put it through a pipeline to transform and enrich that data. And then we can send it to Grafana or Elasticsearch for display, or we can do some kind of automation with that data. For example, sending an email when an anomaly is detected, or configuring a router if something needs to be reconfigured and we know how to do it automatically.
So notifications, how it works?
So if you have an anomaly pump or an anomaly detector, it would track, for example, the throughput of a server over time. And you can imagine that a server that's selling something in an e-shop that's located in the Czech Republic might have the most traffic on the weekends and the most throughput on the weekends and after work, or maybe in the morning before work when people are on their cell phones clicking on things. And so we can then detect that correlation between the time of day, the holiday, or whether it's work day or a weekend, and the throughput. And when there's excessively high throughput or excessively low throughput, not just based off of a threshold, but intelligently, depending on the time of day, we can determine that there's an anomaly situation. Right now, it's Thursday at 6 p.m. Lots of people should be at home checking their laptops, but there's very little throughput, the same as if it were nighttime. We can then detect that's not normal and send off an email that there's an anomaly.
And what kind of tools you are using for this?
So we use Python and Kafka and our BitSwan system, which is an open source library. We're currently developing an interactive graphical interface for BitSwan library, and then you'll be able to see all of the pipelines that are running and make sure that they're all healthy, all passing data. And also you'll be able to configure the pipelines and even download pipelines from a store of pipelines that are reconfigured, and you'll be able to configure new KPIs in the pipelines using an intuitive interface, both for programmers and for non-programmers, where you'll even be able to configure a lot of things if you're not a coder yourself.
So how much data BitSwan can handle?
I think that we've peaked out in terms of real-world practical use at around 10,000 events per second, which is quite a lot, but that's not a peak that's caused by a limitation to our system. We just haven't needed to optimize it further.
So you're connecting it to the a user interface with which a user can interact, can see the problems that are happening, So how fast or how much time it takes for the problems to be solved?
To be solved
Yeah,
or to be seen? Well,
to be
it's
solved.
to be solved. So if you imagine in a telecom situation, you might see that there's a problem with the routing of traffic, that there's too much traffic going to one node in the network, and you can reconfigure that, and it can be a matter of seconds to solve the problem. But it could also be a situation where the antenna is pointing in a certain direction, and a tree has grown and is now blocking the antenna, and you actually have to call up a person to physically drive there and move the antenna a little bit, or arrange to have the tree branch cut so it's no longer blocking the antenna's view.
So what is situation before BITSWAN and after BITSWAN?
So the situation before BitSwan is that you either have no insight into your data, or you have some, for example, in a warehouse, you would have a dumb warehouse management system that is showing you perhaps one KPI or a couple of KPIs and a table of the orders. And afterwards, any kind of question that occurs to you, you can go to our data analysis team, and they can add new statistics to the dashboard. And you can see in real time how the statistics change, and you can also see a history of the statistics. That you can go back 6 months and see what the throughput of your warehouse was 6 months ago. You can also filter the data really in a really rich way, that you could, for example, see order fulfillment over time, or the amount of time it takes to fulfill an order, and filter by the 3 top employees, or filter by the 3 worst employees, and see not just how long it takes to fulfill an order, but how long it takes for these 3 particular employees to fulfill an order.
So how much time you took in order to develop this application?
Well, we're still developing the application, but it's currently in production at several customers, and I think it took a pretty short amount of time to get to production, because the basic concept is pretty simple. The difficulty is getting it to be really robust so that any kind of adverse event doesn't cause the pipeline to go down. And so we are currently working on polishing it so that it's really, really reliable. And then we're going to build this interactive graphical interface that allows you to configure the pumps and install pumps from the pump store and build new pumps or new pipelines.
So as per the information that you gave, per second, it can handle 10,000 events. So can I say this is more beneficial and effective and efficient for large scale companies?
Yes, it's mostly, I would say that it's best for large scale companies because they have a huge amount of data, and using other event driven systems such as the Databricks system on Azure Cloud can be absurdly expensive. You would be paying some fraction of a cent for every event that's processed from the system. In our case, we can handle thousands of events per second on a single server, and we don't require any fancy cloud technologies. It can run on a VPS, it can run on EC2, it can run on a virtual machine on Azure, it can run on a virtual machine behind your corporate firewall. So you can scale it very effectively, and you can run it on any cloud, on any virtual machine, even behind a corporate firewall. You don't have any reliance on the internet. We can install this using Docker, Compose to totally offline system.
So how can you assure your customer about data security?
So as I said, we don't have any reliance on the internet. So if data security is incredibly important to you, you can have it behind a corporate firewall, or if you're using the cloud in a virtual private network or a VPC. And so it's isolated from the world in that regard. Furthermore, we can do things to ensure your compliance with GDPR by having part of the pipeline anonymize data. We can also lifecycle data. So we can automatically delete data that is older than 6 months. And backups that we do can, of course, be done in a way that they're encrypted at rest in compliance with the law.
And how in the user interface, how clearly a customer can see what is happening?
Currently, it is a little bit opaque. They can see the resulting data, they can see the graphs, and they can see the KPIs, and of course they get the emails when an anomaly is detected. But we're currently working on a new system which is going to show the pipelines as they're running and show the structure of the pipelines. And so they'll be able to see really the data flowing through the system.
And when it will be out?
I don't want to make promises. In 6 months, Elon Musk time.
Elon Musk time. Awesome. So how you are already working in a telecom industry and you're seeing what is happening for that particular business. So
Yeah.
how your team is understanding things are happening? Are you observing anything that you don't expect?
Oh, don't expect. I don't think that there's anything that we wouldn't expect. I already have some experience in the telecom industry, but there is some things about the telecom industry that are kind of unusual or interesting. They have an acronym for everything. You go in there and everything is this SBR, CES, or something like that, and it's just 3-letter or 2-letter acronyms, and you don't know anything of what anybody's talking about. You need a dictionary just to talk telecom. And so that's quite a challenge. But once you get into it, it's pretty much just a bunch of statistics flowing through the system about various connections, various servers, various routers, various antennas. And it's not that complicated, but it's extremely obscure.
So in the dashboard, the problems that are appearing, how much time it will be there like that until it can be solved, or it can be fixed?
I'm not sure. You mean problems that might be happening? As I previously said, if there's an antenna that's facing the wrong direction, you have to drive out and fix it. But you can immediately see the result. So
Okay.
you can
Yeah.
have some person on the roof moving the
Yeah.
antenna, and you can see immediately that it's fixed. You can be on the phone and he can be asking, is it working now? And you say, yes, it's working, because you see in your dashboard instantaneously the result.
Which means instantly the status of the problem will change.
Yes, that's the main advantage of the real-time event-driven data platform, that you really see immediately if you fix the problem or not.
So how much time you saved for that telecom industry or telecom company?
Well, if they didn't have a system like this, how would they even find out about these problems? Are they going to be logging into the admin interface of 1,000 different antennas every day? And we check the antennas multiple times a minute. So you would have to have thousands of employees just with the admin interface open, with the graph showing for every single antenna, and they would just be clicking refresh all day long. I don't think it would be even feasible. Of course, in the past, there were systems in which there was a telecom operator listening in on every phone call back in the days of Bell Telecom. So obviously it did exist. But I think the telephone was a bit more expensive back then.
So you are saying you want to move this application global. So you already said the acronyms, which means belongs to this company, is difficult to understand. So when you go beyond your country, or you're working for other businesses or which belongs to different countries, can I say it will be very challenging for you working for different industries and also which belongs to different countries?
Well, usually a company that does a business knows what their business is about and can explain the data and statistics that they are working with. It's not like O2 doesn't know these acronyms. They do. They are very knowledgeable about their data. They just need somebody to go in and wire it up so that they're able to react to the data in real time and perhaps automate things for them. So it's not like companies don't know what their data means. It's just that they have to explain it to us. And we're happy to listen. And we're eager to learn more about the data of various industries.
So what experience you have in data management or data analysis?
So I worked with an Australian telecom before. It's under NDA, so I can't say who. And I've been programming for well over a decade now, so I have some experience. And within our team, we have data analysts who are also quite senior. But I am working on developing the engineering side of the product, that is deploying these pipelines and making sure that they run correctly. And Pavel Enderle is our data chief, and he is in charge of making sure that the data is analyzed correctly and creating the novel techniques for finding, for example, anomalies in the data.
So most of the company owners or the businesses, they are not much into technology. They don't know how technology works uh, uh, inside. So how you are going to provide them a user interface or a interface with which they can understand what is happening?
Well, I think that it's our job to go in and connect up the data sources. So if you have, for example, barcode scanners, or if you have a machine in a factory that detects the part throughput, then we can hook that up. You don't have to understand it. We can connect that. And then all you have to do is be an expert in your field. If it's in the factory, it would be factory management, and you can see and see the KPIs that you need to track, or see the statistics that you need to understand. And of course, you are already an expert in that. So,
So I'm sure a lot of people who are watching and listening to us will have this question in their mind: how accurate the errors or the problems that has been shown on the screen are how accurate they are.
how accurate is the anomaly detection?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. It often depends on the context. If it's a simple situation, for example, an antenna's signal strength, then it can be pretty much 100% accurate, because we know which signal strengths are like correct and which aren't. But in the case of eShop, where I talked about the throughput of the website, and you know that on Saturday it should have high throughput because everybody's off work and they're shopping. Imagine that there's, for example, Thanksgiving on a Saturday, right? Or a holiday on a Saturday, and everybody's sitting with their family around the table, and it's an unusual time. Our anomaly detector might detect an anomaly there. And I don't know that that can be helped, but once it has detected the anomaly, what it can do is it can take the historic data and relearn, and next year it won't make the same mistake.
So you are using auto detection for this.
We're using machine learning for this. We create a machine learning model, and we can detect the anomalies. And if the anomalies, if 3 years in a row there's an anomaly on the same day, it stops being an anomaly.
So how can it go through the history and can able to understand if this problem is arised before or not?
That would be a good question for my data chief, Pavel Andrle. I'm not an expert on the machine learning side of things, but I trust he has it figured out.
And are you using artificial intelligence in this?
Well, machine learning is a kind of artificial intelligence. Yes, we would fulfill that.
So automation is there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you don't have to manually program the anomaly detector. What you do is you insert historic data, or you have it auto-configured. So if you have 6 months of historic data, it can be taught on 6 months of historic data, or you can have it so that it starts out, it's not able to detect anomalies, but over time it learns what's normal and what's not normal, and it is zero configuration. You just have to wait, and it'll figure things out.
So what about storage?
Storage. So you have like when we were talking about 10,000 events per second, obviously that requires a lot of storage, and it depends on how much historic data you want. So for a telecom case, there's legislative limits for how long you can store the data. So you store 6 months of data, or you store as much data as you need to have historically. We use Elasticsearch for the storage of this event data usually, and it has built-in life cycling. That means that it can automatically delete the data after 6 months.
And this app can be used in mobiles, or do they need to access it through laptop?
In order to show the data, to show the graphs, yes, you can use it on a mobile. That's no problem.
So they can see what is happening in the mobile.
Yeah.
Exactly like in the big screen.
Well, it's going to, of course, be a little bit reformatted for the mobile, so it's prettier than on if it was just a shrunk version. But yes, they can.
So have you seen anything that goes, out of what you have planned?
Like some result from the work that we've
The analytics.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I understand. Like if we
They,
got some
the,
interesting insights from the analytics?
yeah, data analytics and the statistics of data. Have you seen anything going beyond your prediction?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to really give insights that would be really world changing because most of our data is under NDA. But I can say that we've been able to react to problems, and we've also been able to help in the warehouse system to optimize the warehouse.
So first time you launched this kind of application and you succeeded in this.
Uh, yes, I guess, but my boss, Tomasz Dolezal, he's actually a very experienced businessman. It's not his first rodeo.
But he has a great team like you who are involved in this and able to manage and make this happen.
Yeah, he's very hands off in terms of the engineering side of things, but he's actually extremely experienced and talented when it comes to data analysis. So he actually takes a hands-on role there.
So how it is possible in order to understand the business side of the technology and matching those skills that your team has with the business requirement.
Oh, that's pretty challenging, actually. That's definitely a challenge. But I always try to fulfill what the business requirement is. And once we get to the point where we have data in front of us, then the ideas start flowing. Because once you start having a data source like the barcode scanners in the warehouse, then you can do an incredibly large amount of things. It's not just that you can see how long it takes to fulfill an order. You can ask questions like, what kind of item is it that's being added to the basket right now, or to the order, and then categorize the items that this is a bicycle. Bicycles are harder to package than a Lego set, and so all of a sudden you have all of these interesting insights that come out of the data, and the business and the technology really go hand in hand together. The more challenging thing is explaining this to new customers when we don't have the data. We haven't gotten the data in front of us, and then it can seem pretty opaque because they are in the dark. They are blind. Until you see your data, you're blind. But once you do see your data, you just want to see more and more of it.
So in your decade experience, I'm sure you might have seen a lot of businesses and the data analysis for that. I'm sure you might have also seen companies or businesses running and having a huge number of customers or visitors to their sites. So, by taking those examples in your experience, since in US also there are a lot of companies, a lot of people my follows or business also from US. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you think you can able to solve their problems with the product that you have?
Well, in my experience, a lot of companies have quarterly or end of year reports that they compile, and then they talk about in an end of year review or an end of quarter review how they're going to improve things. And then they're acting more or less in the blind. They have some KPIs that they track during the year, but it's downloading extracts from databases and putting them in Excel and then working with them in Excel in order to understand their data. And it's really hard for them to react to new things that happen. And it's also very hard for them to try some kind of change and see immediately whether the change has helped or hurt. I remember a really extreme example was that I was running a cultural event at the beginning of COVID, and we all of a sudden didn't know what to do. We were totally in the dark as to like whether people were going to sign up for our event and whether our event was even going to be legal, because the government was saying they're going to ban all events, and we were downloading every day Excel spreadsheets of data from like people signing up for the event, and it was very stressful. And to be able to see in real time more richer data about what was going on would have helped us orient ourselves. Even though even that can't save you from, for example, the government banning your event entirely.
Since this application can able to handle thousands of events per second, uh,
Mm-hmm.
how it is going to be how what kind of mechanism that works in order to make this run?
So as I said, we use Apache Kafka in order to queue the events, so we can connect to that data source, but we can also connect directly to a SQL database or to a NoSQL database, or we can create an HTTP endpoint that you can send data to. And we then use a pipeline in Python, which uses an asynchronous processor. So it is able to process many events at the same time. And you always have some parts of the pipeline that are slow. For example, you have a database lookup that's slow, and it doesn't stop when it's waiting for the database lookup. That's the advantage of the asynchronous system. It's an asynchronous function call. You send a request out to a database, and while you're waiting for that request to be processed, you go and you deal with some other events, and then once you get the response, you follow up on it. So when we have this, it's always running like if you're maxing out the throughput, you're running at like 300% CPU. That is, you're using 3 cores at full power, and there's very little like waste there, other than the obvious waste of potentially using Python as a programming language rather than a more efficient programming language like C++. But we actually have in our system a lot of optimizations that are specific to our system to make it so it's not actually slower. We are compatible. We're comparable in our throughput to a language like Scala using the Kafka system.
So how does internet disrupt this data?
I'm not sure if I understood that. How does the internet disrupt the data, or?
The continuous connectivity should be there in order to make this passage run and show the
Oh,
right problems, the right events which are being created. So does internet connectivity makes any change in this?
okay. So yes and no. Kafka has the ability to order events by timestamp. So we can reorder events if necessary, if there's not too much like mixing up of the events. And we even have special processors for reordering events if they're coming in or out of order. In terms of connectivity delays, Kafka has the ability to queue the messages. So you can queue, for example, 30 minutes or a day's worth of messages. And if there's a connectivity loss, then when you reconnect, the old messages are still there and you're able to consume them. So we're able to be quite robust to connectivity losses. We're also currently developing systems to handle unexpected errors in the system where it will automatically restart and start off where it ended. And then the system is going to be very robust to any kind of failures. That it just, it's like a hydra. You cut off one head and it grows two more.
So I asked this question. It may not be very big thing when it comes to in your own country, but when it is working for other countries, there will be this kind of issues for sure. The connectivity thing.
Well, certainly if you're sending the data over the internet, as I said, in a warehouse situation, you might have BitSwan installed locally on premise. But in a SaaS situation, of course, you could have connectivity issues, and we're able to queue up the events and then send them off once connectivity is restored. So it's not a problem. Of course, you won't see it in real time when the internet connectivity is broken. That would be impossible. We're not able to transmit the data without connectivity, but we're able to do anything up to the impossible, basically, in terms of managing unstable connections.
Is it premium, the service?
Premium, as in paid?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have BitSwan as an open source library that anyone can install, download, and use. And we also have BitSwan as a licensed product. And the difference is the service that you'll get and also the proprietary pumps that we bring to the table. So if you download the BitSwan open source library, you won't get the machine learning powered anomaly pumps, and we're not going to tune them for you unless you pay us. We may open source even a lot of the pumps in the future, but still the training of the machine learning models is going to be a paid service, and the customization of the system is, of course, going to be paid.
So you're trying to solve this problem by directly seeing a problem that is happening in telecom.
Yes.
So you started finding the solution for this problem by seeing the real problem.
Yes. So we reacted to the problem of needing a SEM system that gave support personnel insight into what's happening in the telecom network and the ability to diagnose problems that customers are having. And they needed to be able to see in real time, because it doesn't matter if your internet was working a week ago, you want to know if the internet's working now. So we really wanted to solve that problem for them. And once we started building the system, we realized that it can be applied to almost any industry where you want to be able to diagnose and optimize in real time.
So after 6 months, which is Elon Musk's time, you said it will be ready, the graphical interface. So
yes.
have you thought that when you're starting this, finding the solution for this problem, understanding the real-time problem, have you thought that you're going to do something that is not happened before?
Like to create an interface that doesn't exist?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to show how things are happening to the customer. How do you know that you're going to solve this problem?
How do we know that we're going to solve this problem? Because we have this problem ourselves. We are already working with a number of customers in order to create these pipelines, and we're already drawing, even on a whiteboard or in Photoshop, the pipelines for them so that they can understand how the data is flowing through the system. We're already fielding telephone calls and Slack messages asking to reconfigure and create new pipelines. And so we already have the problem ourselves. And we know that once we solve the problem for ourselves, we'll have solved the problem for our customers as well. Because then they'll be able to create these pipelines, configure these pipelines, install these pipelines very easily. And we'll be able to do so as well.
So you are reminding or suggesting this is not useful for small companies.
I don't know if it's entirely useless to small companies, but I think that if you don't have a lot of things that are going on, then what are you going to track and monitor? I think that it's best for mid-sized and large companies, but I think that maybe my boss would disagree. I think that he wants to sell to small companies as well.
So if you see the American market, you will find a lot of businesses, businesses having a lot of data. So how do you think this is a unique product which matches with all kind of businesses?
Can you repeat the question, please?
You're saying that you have created a product that is useful for any business. And there are n number of businesses. It can be any business. It belongs to any industry. So how can you be that sure that this is unique product that is universal?
I don't think that it's actually that unusual to have a universal product. If you imagine Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel, do you know of any business that doesn't use either Excel or Google Sheets? I can't think of a single business that doesn't. So business administration and understanding KPIs and understanding data is really a universal problem. All businesses work with things that are happening in their business that they have to react to. If a business isn't doing things, then they're not a business. And so anyone who's doing stuff is going to need to be able to track that data. And anyone who's doing a lot of stuff, especially a lot of things that are happening quickly, is going to need to do so in real time. So our solution really is universal across sectors, the same way as Excel is universal across sectors.
So if you cross your country, there are different countries which have different languages. So how does it work for different languages?
How does it work for different languages? Currently, we work mostly in English, but the graphical user interface is going to, of course, support multiple languages. It's something that we've already built into our graphical interface. We already support Czech and English, and it's not going to be difficult to add more languages.
So summing up this, how do you define your product and how it is going to be a solution for different problems?
Our product is a real-time data platform that allows you to connect real-time data sources and databases to pipelines that can either show you what's going on, inform you if something unusual is going on, or automate a process based off of events in the system. It can allow you to improve the efficiency of your company, address problems to ensure that all things are moving smoothly and customers are satisfied. And it can also allow you to create automations that allow you to instantly react to situations or simply automate processes.
So as a industry observer, as a business observer, as a person who is working into data and data analysis, understanding the internal thing of the company, knowing what kind of problems that a companies can have and that you can solve. What is your observation about my work, which I'm doing, taking interviews like people like you for trying to find solutions for problems which are not existed before?
I think that it's important work, and I think that you and everyone who listens to your podcast is learning a lot. So I think that is quite valuable. And I want to really thank you for taking your time to interview me. It was really helpful, and I actually learned a lot about my own product, thinking about how I would explain it to you. So it was a fun experience, definitely.
So one last question, because it's extremely valuable for me. Since you have been in data analysis and working in Australia and working for different businesses, understanding different problems. I did masters in software engineering, bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Right now I'm doing some DevOps engineering projects. That's why I'm very curious about the product that you have designed, and I was very curious to tell about your product to my listeners, and I'm sure it will be very helpful for a lot of business owners will be watching this and listening to this. I'm thinking, since you have taken a real-time problem and solve it, and that is something that extraordinary skill that any company leader or the team need to have, finding solution for the problem and explaining how it is going to be helpful and how it is going to be saving their time. So that is extremely valuable. So coming to mine, I'm doing DevOps projects. So how experts like you, knowing these kind of services, these kind of products, designing all over the world, me talking and presenting it to through my platforms, how this experience is going to helpful for me in my coming IT career.
How is that experience going to be helpful for you?
Yeah.
Well, you can see that there's a lot of code that needs to be created for businesses that's not necessarily visible to customers. Not everybody is working on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. A lot of code is put into automating the processes that fulfill customer wishes without the customer actually seeing that that code exists. There's a lot of infrastructure and processes that do things so that things happen that you take for granted. You take for granted that, for example, there's food in those stores, but somebody had to put it there. And there's a process that needs to be monitored and optimized in delivering that food to the store. And that's actually where most of the code is. Most of the code isn't in YouTube or Instagram. It's in fulfilling customer needs and like practicing business.
So I can say you have a smart engineering skills, uh, which definitely helps any kind of a business. So, and what kind of plans you have? What kind of engineering problems that you want to solve? I'm sure you'll have long time goals.
So right now we're hiring for a front-end developer because we want to make a beautiful, intuitive, easy-to-use user experience for installing the pumps, configuring them, monitoring them. From the problem-solving standpoint, since we're creating these real-time kind of appliances that need to run in the background and monitor and react to events, we want to make them incredibly robust. They need to be 100% reliable. You buy, for example, a thermostat and you put it on your wall and you just assume that the temperature is going to be correct. You don't think about your thermostat. You don't restart it every 3 days. You don't, you basically forget about it. A refrigerator is the same thing. It keeps the temperature for your food correct, and you don't think about it. When was the last time you thought about like restarting your refrigerator so that it wouldn't crash? I never thought about that. And so the hardest real technical problem with creating these data processing pipelines is creating data processing pipeline that you forget about. And that's my goal, really, is to create a data processing pipeline, especially for an anomaly pump that's supposed to inform you of an error. It should take the worry off of you. You should be able to go from worrying about whether, for example, antenna signal strength is correct to forgetting about antenna signal strength and maybe getting an email once in a while that you need to go and move an antenna. But other than that, not thinking about that monitoring aspect at all. Taking the responsibility and putting it on the pipeline that just works.
Can you share your service details to my podcast listeners so that they can see what it is?
Yes. We will share a link.
Can you spell
in the
it?
show notes. Okay, so it's libertyaces.com. Liberty, LibertyAces.com. So Liberty is LibertyAces.com. LibertyAces.com.
So I'll put the web link in the description also on the screen as well. People who find the video on YouTube and the social media or internet, they can find it and they can explore it. Thanks for your valuable time and sharing your valuable work to my audience.
Thanks a lot, Sai. It's been a pleasure.
Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yes, you can. I think it went
Also, also, can I put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, you can. I think it went well.
Yeah, and I'll put I'll present your work with in detail in my website as well. People who finds my website can able to see with the web links and also with the description of your service.
Awesome. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you again, Tim, for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.